Hi there, it's Emma here from Best Studio. I specialise in wellbeing strategies, and today I want to talk a little bit about a question that I put up on our social media last week. And you know what? It might be something that has been up for discussion maybe in your life before. Yeah, when we look at forgiveness, when we're looking at being forgiving, if we choose not to forget what's happened, are we really forgiving? It's like a really big question, because how can we even look into forgiveness if we're constantly keeping the memory alive, because the problem is when you start reliving situations over and over and over, our body, our brain doesn't know that it's not actually happening at the same time. What happens is like, we know, but what happens is the nervous system starts doing physical and chemical changes to actually match the situation that we're thinking about. And that's the thing with thoughts, is that we talk a lot about how you think is the most important part towards your health. And that's the reason why, is that when you're constantly pushing your thought pattern into a particular scenario, then your body starts to create the exact environment it needs in order to survive. And if you've actually haven't watched the first webinar, it's a free 30-minute webinar on the art of forgiveness. We do a really good exercise around getting you to think about a particular situation, and you will see that the chemical changes in your body, the physical changes in your body. And so it begs the question of, well, so I have a situation, I feel that I have forgiven the situation, I'm talking hypothetically here, and but I'm choosing not to forget it. I'm not going to forget that. I'm not going to forget that so-and-so did this, or I'm not forgetting that. So really, does that mean that you've actually hit forgiveness? And it's a really interesting concept. And, it's the sort of thing that you can discuss. And I think a lot of it is there's not a straightforward answer, purely because there's so many different variables. It depends upon this, it depends upon that. It depends upon, how you're living your life. And for me, so this is how my answer works with it. For me, what I make a decision on is, is it really affecting my life? In other words, am I constantly thinking about it to the point where I'm throwing myself into that kind of flight-fight mode? Because if I am, then really I don't feel that I have done enough on forgiveness. And forgiveness can be a tricky situation. It's hard. For some, it's really hard to sometimes get over something, especially when we're dealing with really, traumatic type circumstances. And for most people, when they are struggling to forgive, it's usually because they feel that whatever happened to them, or whatever the situation was, it came across as quite, it's just something that you can't move past. And I've been there in that situation. I really have. I don't know if you'd heard me talk before about, or you've read the article that I wrote about, once I was called one of the most unforgiving people that somebody had ever met. A close family member said to me, "You are the most unforgiving person I've ever met," which really surprised me, because I considered myself very forgiving. I thought I was one of the most easiest going people in the world. It's just like I gave people chance after chance after chance after chance, and then, by that time, then they cut them off. I would cut them off, literally. And then a situation came up that I knew that I needed to work on forgiveness, and I didn't really know how to. And this is how everything started to come about, because I started to, really work on it, and work on using a technique that Dr. Mortar came up with, called the 5 steps of forgiveness. And I had access to all the information, and I started working on it on my own. And it took me a long time to work through these 5 steps and really get my head around it. And when I did, it was just like the most releasing thing I've ever ever experienced once I really understood those 5 steps. And from that, that's why I created the Art of Forgiveness, Freedom with Benefits webinar, of which, you know, the first one's free, and you're very, very welcome. It's only about 30 minutes. You get a free workbook as well to work with. So that's there for people. I really wanted to make sure that these 5 steps, that people had an approach, a strategy that they could use when they needed to move forward. Because, you know, it's really, look, watch the 30-minute video. It's really about, you know, really being held back is the best way of putting it. It's really, who wants to be held back continuously in life? Because we think if we don't forget the situation, we're not, you know, we try and forget the situation, put it this way, we try and forget the situation, but we're not working on the forgiveness. And then, of course, if something comes along, and we might have forgotten it for a while, and then something comes up and bam, whoom, it sort of really hits us in the face. Or you go, right, okay, I've forgiven that. I've forgiven them. And then, of course, you're not forgetting it, though. It's kind of still in the back of your mind. Because of that, that's why I worked with the Art of Forgiveness, Freedom with Benefits, because it's about actually learning how to apply these 5 steps so that you get freedom in your life. And not only that, you build upon the experience so it works for you, and, you know, it's about getting that closure. So can you get forgiveness if you have not forgotten? Like I said, I think it depends, and I can show you a really great strategy that is going to help you learn that lesson, if you like, learn the lesson that is going to enable you to, you know, take what you need from that, but leave behind what you need to leave behind, because that's key to your health. Remembering however we think and what we're constantly thinking, that creates the chemical and physical changes within your body systems. So anyway, look, that's created for you. So that's that 30-minute webinar. It's like a training session. You download a PDF book and you can do that in your own time. You can watch that over and over and over again. I'll stick the link in for you. Also, look, if maybe you're not quite at that point yet, you just want to start sort of playing around with the idea of forgiveness, and that's great, because there's we have an ebook that you can download. Again, all this information, I just want to bring content to you. I really do. Give you sort of a chance to really sit down and start figuring out your stuff, because you know, if you're really having to work on forgiveness, then usually it means because there's something big in your life that you really want to address, and you know, you're worth it, especially if it's starting to pull you back in life. Free ebook, I'll put the link down there if you do want to watch the webinar and grab the ebook. Well, it's like a workbook that goes with it. You're very welcome to do that. I recommend that you do that with all my heart. That's the whole reason, like, you know, we put that out to you, is so that these resources are accessible to as many as possible. All right, so listen, thank you so much for watching. Jump on those URL links. Alternatively, feel free to share this video if you think there's just one person out there who might need to hear this message and maybe, you know, access those resources. All right, listen, have a wonderful day, and I will catch up with you very soon.